Today we're talking about dating, why chemistry keeps getting mistaken for compatibility, and why intensity so often disguises misalignment. This conversation is about patterns, nervous systems, and decision making. Welcome to StreetSmarts MBA, the podcast where we teach you how to be an adult. My guest today works in the relationship space with a focus on compatibility, identity, and emotional patterns. Her work is rooted in psychology and performance insight and centers on helping move away from repetition and towards intentional choice. So I wanted this conversation to stay practical, grounded, and useful. For this, we have Jena Jake with us here today. Jena, thank you so much for being here. Please introduce yourself and let us know your background.
I'm so excited to be here today. I am a compatibility strategist. Thank you for that lovely introduction, by the way. And then I also have a background in counseling and coaching, which I use in my strategy practice, but my practice is based on compatibility using psychometric tools and strategy to increase self-awareness, relationships, reduce patterns, everything that you just said, because your subconscious patterns, when you're not aware of them, especially when you're stressed and pressured, they get louder and you become more of who you are. And sometimes those are strengths and sometimes those are patterns that don't work for you and then begin to derail you.
Well, that's interesting. So, a few of my friends say they just have bad luck in dating.
Hmm.
From your perspective, what do you think is actually happening?
What I think is happening is people are looking to heal childhood wounds and pick what's familiar to them. And they're trying to get the love that they didn't get in childhood from somebody else. And they're calling that chemistry versus realizing who you are, what your subconscious patterns are, finding a system to interrupt those patterns, to practice interrupting those patterns, and then using like some sort of psychological assessment, whatever it is, to become self-aware, and then choosing what is aligned with you from who you are, from a psychological measured place.
So, what would you say is the difference between, chemistry and compatibilities? Because a
That
lot of people mistake chemistry with,
chemistry is what feels familiar. Compatibility is what has staying power.
wow.
So what feels familiar, seemingly your nervous system wants that, so it feels good, but that's not what's good for you. It's what you're used to. It's completely different.
It's like something I have to process.
Yeah.
So, chemistry, because this is okay, I've never heard this before. Chemistry is what feels familiar to you.
Yeah, it's what your nervous system thinks of as mom and dad, which is love. Like love that you got from your parents,
Mhm.
whatever that vibration is, that feels like home. So you feel drawn to that person. So you feel like you have chemistry with them. But that's just an old pattern that you haven't realized yet. That's what your
So,
nervous system's used to.
and it can get quite intense. So, you're saying that they confuse that intensity with alignment or with compatibility.
Right. And that's why people say, oh, that you always marry your parents. Well, yeah, you marry your parents because that's what your nervous system told you to do, because that's what love looks like. But when you take a look at like your personality and what's going to work with that personality, that is not chances are, what you're with right now or the person that you've been with.
So how can you tell the difference? Because what we're hearing, and this is what I've learned growing up too, if you feel butterflies in your stomach, that's a good thing. How can you tell the difference that what you're feeling, because we're all learn to
I mean, it's
trust
all,
our
yeah,
intuition.
because the person that's probably good for you, you might actually find boring if you just did it on pure chemistry. Like if you didn't measure anything, you had no self-awareness, the person that would actually be good for you, you would probably find boring. You would not get excited. Your nervous system isn't going to get excited of something it's not familiar with.
Okay, so how do we even then start looking for a partner if
You
that's
have
the case?
That's what you need to go through a process, the one like I have, where
Hmm.
you use someone who's looking to give you a strategy. Like we're not going to talk about your past relationships. We're not going to go through your trauma. That's all therapy things. And I'm not giving you like you have to complete this by this time, kind of coaching things. This is like we're going to go through a process to say, go through an assessment to say, this is my personality. this is who you are. And then these are the kinds of things that are going to be good for you based on your personality. So, for instance, like everybody else, I married the best and the worst of my parents. I've married in my ex-husband. But realizing that if I had gone through an assessment process, especially something that had like teeny subscales to say, oh, okay, well, I knew that this person didn't say things nicely, but what I didn't know is like they had no empathy. And my empathy is really high, but again, I
Mhm.
wouldn't have known that either unless I did some sort of assessment. And said, okay, you know what, this isn't going to be good because when my mom gets dementia, like he's not really going to be empathetic to that or care. Or like if I'm spiraling into depression, he might say like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, my mom's my mom's got dementia. Well, I could be 6 months in or 20 years in or whatever it is before I discover that, wow, this doesn't feel good. But because this certain personality at the beginning was my parents, I was like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is the one. This is the person for me. We're not seeing that so many traits about this person were really deal breakers.
So when someone says I attract emotionally unavailable men,
Yeah.
what's usually underneath it is they're trying to heal something within
Yeah,
themselves.
that like okay, and what was your relationship with your father?
Wow.
Did you feel that he was emotionally unavailable to you? Did you feel unworthy in that relationship? Did you feel less than? Did you feel like you had to serve him? And it's like so subconscious. It's not even thought sometimes. It's just a familiar vibration of having to have somebody that you cater to.
Okay, so for me, I would think that you would need years and years of therapy to be able to kind of peel away all those layers and figure out who you actually are. Is there a faster way to do this?
Yes, I mean to do a personality assessment and see somebody
Mhm.
like me. I do strategy work, but I also have the benefit of being a therapist and a coach. And to
Mhm.
say, okay, you know what? Show me who I am. Let's flip the lights on. And then it's simple, but it's not easy because now that you know better, you have to start to catch yourself. Like I'll give a clear example. Like for me, a lot of my stuff, my emotional baggage was done. I did a lot of people pleasing, and I'm sure a lot of women will be able to relate to that. A lot of fawning because I had to do that to survive in my family because that was the only way that I was going to get quote unquote loved, as if we all exile parts of ourselves to get love and kind of, especially as women, become smaller and people pleasy and do all those kinds of things to ingratiate ourselves to get love. And so that's a pattern that even me, with all of the wisdom and this, I've worked on myself so much, but now I'm actually getting good at catching myself, but it bothers me. So when people in my family are fighting, I can go, oh, you know what? I love to say, not my monkey, not my circus.
Yeah.
I have to like every part of my body's like, I want to fix this. I want to help. But I catch myself now in these patterns. Oh, okay, here I'm doing it again. But now I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to get involved. Let them fight it out. And it's uncomfortable. But now at least my behavior is different. So you don't really get to change your wiring per se, but you can change your thoughts and your behaviors, which will create a new life for you because your vibration is different. And
So
that matters.
I love that. My question is, when you are in a situation that does activate or does something to your nervous system and it shuts off your prefrontal cortex, that you start reacting instead of thinking, okay, this is how I respond. You start reacting. And that shows up when you're dating, especially in the early stages, where you're so nervous. So, how do you navigate that? Some people, because they don't want to feel what they're feeling, you say, I'm not going to deal with it, turns into avoidance, you know?
Well, I wasn't going to deal with it because it's not my situation to deal with. That's
Mm-hmm.
different. But
Okay,
like in a
okay.
situation where I'd be dating and then would feel like, okay, you know what? I know that I've been anxiously attached in the past with my relationships. So I would say you can make a conscious choice to say, you know what? I'm not going to date until I'm feeling more secure with myself and working on myself or those kinds of, or say, oh, here's me doing that pattern thing again that I'm doing. Thank you for
Mhm.
this opportunity, dating relationship, because you are just my greatest teacher right now. And you just gave me another chance to practice the thing that's not working for me anymore. Now I know better.
Okay.
So, we're all trying to heal this trauma and past wounds. But also as we learn about ourselves more and we become more self-aware, it's always a choice point now. And now it's a conscious thing because you're not going to heal something that you're not aware of.
Mm.
And it's okay to accept yourself with, come as you are because you're only going to choose the person as healthy as you are. So if you're choosing unavailable people, it's because you're not healthy enough to choose somebody available. You don't love yourself enough. And that's not just like lip service to love yourself, but really like I'm learning that party of one is still a party. That's the work, right? The transformational work is really on you.
And do you work with both men and women?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I know a number of women and men who really want to be in a relationship, and they've done a lot of work on themselves, and they go out on many, many different dates, but they continue to look for that one that is going to move Earth and make the Earth move under them.
Yeah.
So how can you tell what's
The
healthy and what's not? You can't say, "Oh,
the
go ahead."
beginning of where you started with like they're looking for somebody or someone to make the earth move for them.
Yes.
But like that's their job to make the earth move for themselves. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's like, to put that on somebody else, that somebody else isn't going to be able to do that. And why would you want that? Because if that person goes, then now your earth's not moving. You just gave all your power away to somebody else.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's really not about what am I getting from somebody, but what am I giving to that relationship, to are they going to compliment me in the life that I love that I'm already living?
So, what are some of the things people should be looking for when they meet someone?
I mean, someone that matches obviously their energy, but there's a lot of red flags that come up at first, like there's a guy that I saw in a dating app, a lovely guy, and he's a widower with two young little kids, and I don't even know this young gentleman, but he was saying like, what, you want to come, I'm cooking dinner for the kids, like, why don't you come over or meet us we're going to like Guy Zone or whatever. And I love kids, now get me wrong. But it's like, I don't want to meet you at the first time, because with your children around and you're distracted. And who am I? And why are you parading me? And God only knows who else in front of them. I mean, that's not in their best interest. So it's like these kinds of things that right away, you see the flags and sometimes people ignore them. But that's part of the process that I do is we do based on your personality and the avatar that I create for you for the perfect mate, if you will. Like this is their personality. Well, now how do you find them? Well, I set you up with a bunch of date questions and red flags and green flags based on what's most aligned with you. So if people are doing their homework, like, like you prepare for your career, you prepare for so many things in life, you want to win a baseball game or whatever it is, you prepare for that. Why don't you prepare for this? Because this decision is really crucial.
Okay.
So that's how you'll know because you'll be prepared and you'll know, and you'll have a sense of self-trust. Like this is what's best for you, but what's best for you and not what you're used to.
Would you say we talk about red flags? What are some of the green flags that you would say would feel boring at first, but actually matter long term?
Yeah, like somebody who's not demanding, not making weird requests. You know in your heart, someone who's not seeming disinterested that they're playing games, but not someone who's like, I just, I met you and we're 3 days in and like I've never felt like this about anybody before. And I want to take you home and you should meet my parents. Like that's actually a red flag. That's too much too soon. So it's kind of like that Goldilocks zone where you're not guessing and you're feeling secure in that situation, but it's not too much. And
Hmm.
it's not like you don't feel like, oh, are they going to call today? You don't want that kind of thing either.
So, what's the best way to tell the difference between your intuition, what you're actually feeling about those red flags, green flags,
Yeah.
and just your own anxiety? How can you?
Have to trust yourself because all your patterns are going to start to rev up like, oh, now I'm in dating again. And it's like, here we go, here I go. And like, and I'm not worrying about whether or not you like me. I like me. Your like is extra. That's where you got to come from in dating. And
Hmm.
you worry about whether or not you like them. Are they worthy of you? You're the prize. So, and people know that situations aren't good for them. That's why they like go on posts and groups and say, well, this happened with this person, and they wait for strangers to validate what they already know because people don't want to break up with or let go of situations that they know aren't good for them because they're afraid to be alone and they put up with it. But they know.
What do you say, would you say is like the age group that would benefit most from this? Because you would think that by a certain age, we're kind of a bit more
Yeah.
experienced and
Yeah.
aware of our own selves.
I would say like 35 to 60, maybe.
Really?
Oh, yeah. People that, or if people have gotten a certain age, like, oh, I'm going to be 35 or 40 and I've never been married and I want to get married and I keep having dating disasters, or people that are divorced and they don't want to make the same mistake twice. That age group. Yeah, it's not the people, it's not the city.
Hmm.
It's each individual who's having a hard time dating because the good people are everywhere. It's just that inner conversation that you're having in your head. The universe is saying yes to that because the universe always does. So you're saying, there's like I always say on dating apps, well, it's a rummage sale. Well, guess what my experience is on the dating apps? It's a rummage sale. Maybe if I change my attitude towards it, I might have a different experience. But because that's what I've decided is the truth. That's what other lens could I come from?
Okay, so let's say I signed on with you
Yeah.
or did your workshop. Can you
Yeah.
tell us more about what that looks like?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a big event on Valentine's Day called Where Have All the Good Ones Gone? It's going to be
Hmm.
more of a fun party vibe. And
Hmm.
we're going to be doing like a sample of what we've just been talking about. And people will be potentially doing their love avatar. We'll be playing games around personality, like our sort of like take a celebrity and who's had a lot of relationship issues, if you will, and say, who would be the best partner for this celebrity and why, and how they've gone to like what's been familiar to them, but now we're going to pick a better choice and they're going to see the process for that. And so in something like that, otherwise like to do, there's no assessment involved in that. That's just more fun and getting a taste of this. But if you were to come to me as a private client, then I would put you through this process. We would go over your personality, talk about this new strategy for you moving forward, who you really are, really inspire you to change. Because now you're going to see the path. It's going to be very
Okay.
obvious to you and really you'll be excited to go out and be like, okay, this is who I am. This is who it's, and now you're gonna have an avatar of like, this is the person you're looking for. This is their personality exactly. And then here's the
Interesting.
date questions, and here's the green flags, and here's the red flags. And then you're going to be excited to go out and find that person because you're going to know that this person is really who's best for you. And because you're like, wow, I would love to have that person.
Can you talk about what makes someone compatible? Is it interests? Is it activities that you do on weekends? Like what makes someone actually compatible?
A lot of it is values,
Hmm.
and then there's some tendencies that come into it. But, it's sometimes small things, like I said, like having a partner that when you have a lot of empathy that doesn't have empathy, or when you like to say things nicely and they're nasty and that pattern repeats for 20 years, like those things can take your relationship down too.
So you would say that's more compatibility, more to do with the character, the
Yeah,
personality.
the personality of the person and
Hmm.
how they're going to behave when, it's not like if something happens to you in a 25-year marriage or 30 year, it's like when something happens and how is that person going to behave and how are you going to behave? So it's not like, oh, both love to play tennis. Like that helps, but that's not what's going to keep a marriage together. It's like
That's
how they've
important
acted.
because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that. They
Yeah.
look for similar interests on dating apps, for example. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
do our interests align?
Right. And then what happens when like your mom gets dementia or, something happens to a child, God forbid, like a child or to that partner or like,
Mm.
or it's not even those like terrible things. It's like, how do they treat you day in and day out? When like they're stressed out and now you're in traffic and you're trying to get somewhere and they start yelling at you. Over time, that chips away at a relationship. Instead of like making jokes together about the same situation, you could be laughing and making jokes and
Have,
take stress away.
would you say things have changed over the last couple of decades in how people are looking for a partner?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially with women being in the workforce and not needing men financially anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's changed a lot of things. I mean, our grandparents, like everybody had their role and that was it. You got married and you had your role and that was your life, whether you were happily married or not. Now people want and deserve better
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
women don't need guys. they don't need to be married. They could adopt children, they could have surrogacy. I mean, a million things. So now a partnership really has to be examined and aligned and have that potential for a lot of staying power. And I think it deserves that. It deserves that preparation and that just self-discovery because it's just about sharing the best of who you are. Having it like when you won the lottery and you want to go out to dinner, it's more fun to pay for everybody around you. That's that kind of vibe. Sharing the amazingness that you are.
Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Everyone initially is looking for someone that's like their parents. I mean, it would have to start early on where you send that message to someone that there's a healthier way of being, or
Right. I mean, yeah.
when should that start?
I think right when kids are born, they should know, like, learn about nervous systems and how their brain works and how we're all programmed. Because, like, if you
Right.
take one kid and put them in one environment and like they're twin, and you put them in another, they're going to be completely different people because they're programmed completely differently. Even siblings that are in the same house somehow are programmed differently. But some of the nervous system things I see with my brothers and I, like, married similar people or whatever we're used to from our parents. And like if you're a person that has really high tradition, obviously you're going to want to be with someone who has high tradition, or that could become a big problem in a relationship. But there's things that are deal breakers and things that are maybe, you're not as upset about that don't have, and they're not as important to you. So if I'm a person with like low, like I say things nasty too, and then my ex and my husband and I fight and we just say nasty things and we make up and we move on because neither one of us is sensitive, that would work in that dynamic, but with somebody else it would be a disaster. So it's not like there's someone who's like, where have all the good ones gone? Well, it's like, people that are happily together and you go, I could never be with that person. I don't know how you do it.
Right, right. So what would you say is like a realistic timeline when someone comes to you and they say, I want to change the way I want to repattern the way I do things.
Yeah. I mean, if I give them assessment and they took it right away, and then within a few days, was able to come back to them, I mean, within a week, they could really be starting off on with a lot of insight and a new pattern. And, I would be there to guide them along the way to say, okay, how are you doing with this or with that? And do we need to change your strategy at all? And then they say, oh, you know what? I met Johnny. Can I run Johnny through the assessment? Sure. And now we could see, well, this is who you said you want. Is this really who you're dating now? And to be able to do that rather quickly before you get attached, and then it's harder to say goodbye. And now you're like with the wrong one and you don't want to let go.
Oh, so you help people clarify what it is they
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
need.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up somewhere else.
What do you wish you knew before you started dating, or before you said you were married before you married before?
Yeah, like I wish
Hmm.
that I would have known that I was the prize, how amazing I was and
Hmm.
strong I am, and that I wish I'd known about all these subconscious patterns and figured out, okay, this is who you are, this is the amazing person that you are, and this is who you're really supposed to be with, and don't be with somebody who doesn't say things nicely or doesn't have empathy or isn't going to be supportive or whatever it is, all the things or a good listener or present or any of those things. And this is be the personality traits to, ensure because we could predict behavior pretty well with using assessment.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to say, well, if you get into these kinds of situations, this is how they're going to behave.
So I would assume that the people that come to you are empaths. So if they have a certain self-awareness and they
Yes.
want to improve and do things, you would not have people that have, I don't know, a troubled personality
Probably
disorders or
not,
something.
because they would
Yeah.
think they would know better. But yeah, and a lot of interest sometimes from, people that the stakes are high and they have to stay together, like sports teams or rock band or, a family with money, that kids are
Mhm.
fighting and now they need to get along, those kinds of things too.
Mhm.
Well, with that as well.
Okay. Do you have any success stories of how things turned around for someone and maybe how someone saw the
Yeah, I
light?
mean, my biggest one, I think, has been working with like groups of people, like I just said, that needed to get along and for them to have each one have the vulnerability to put their personality like literally on a paper on the table and share who they are and talk about what they admire in the other person or skills that they things that they love about them the most or the things they wish that they had or what they're really good at. And it brings a lot of understanding to people with the understanding that they didn't realize that they had before. And it creates like a sense of trust and vulnerability. And it's amazing how we can turn relationships around. So this works even with couples too. People that are already together that are struggling, this can recharge and change the relationship because if I'm married to you and I'm really like neurotic and I worry about everything and you're calm, cool, collected, I'm gonna feel like you don't care. And
Mm,
you imagine when I realize that you do care, that you're just wired to be calm.
mhm, mhm.
That's a whole other different thing than you not caring. You do care. You're just not wired to show that you care. That creates peace in a relationship. So there's a lot of that that goes on too.
That's great. Is so
Yeah.
how long is this assessment?
An hour the most.
Is it electronic or you?
Yes, electronic.
Oh wow,
I
okay.
send you a link and then you just take it.
And after that you have a conversation.
I'll get a report sent to me and then I send it to you and then we go over it. We go from there.
Wow. Okay, so for you, what kind of a person are you looking for now? It knowing yourself.
It's a great question. I think I need more. I have a more of extreme personality. Like I get very anxious or I get like excitable, which is good because it makes me a good cheerleader, and I worry about things, which is good because it helps me get out ahead of things. However, I could probably use somebody to balance me a little that's like a little less excitable, a little more, calm, cool, collected, but definitely somebody who's empathic and says, with a nice personality, not someone who's like too super, super nice to the top, but maybe more of like top of, maybe three-quarters of the way.
So
So
years ago, would you have considered that type of person boring?
no, yes, 100%, because I would have wanted someone like, with that temper because like that's how my parents were, so it's like
Mhm.
I love that fire. Like I was just drawn to that. But now I'm like, steady Eddie's just that's pretty good now. Now I see it, so now I don't want someone with a fiery temper, as passionate as that may be. The passion might be exciting. I don't want exciting. I want staying power.
So how do you go about finding a person like that? What signals do you give off to find someone like that?
I think you just go into your life, and then when people you start to show interest in someone or they start to show interest in you, that's where those dating questions come in to say like, in a situation like this, like what would you think would be the appropriate response, or how would you behave to about that, or what are the kinds of things that make you upset, or you can kind of get people tell you who they are. You just have to listen.
Wow, okay. People tell you who they are. You just have to listen.
Yeah, so you have to think
Okay.
about what they're saying and not what, what you want to say or you want to hear. It's more about what are they actually saying? Because people do tell you who they are in the beginning of relationships and those red flags are going and people don't want to see it,
Mm.
which is I think why people don't even try anymore because it's just so exhausting. I get that. But it could be worthwhile.
So, okay, so on a dating profile, what should we look for if we're looking for someone who is grounded and kind and boring?
Yeah. Um,
Boring. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I'm feeling like, oh, this dude's a little boring, you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Like I would investigate that, not and just not write them off as boring to me, because maybe my nervous system is looking for the adrenaline that it's been used to my entire life.
Yeah, judging for myself, I have always been attracted to charismatic people because they just make the party.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, that's actually a red flag for me. If someone
Hmm.
is,
Yeah, maybe too, but
sucking up all the air
a
in
little
the
a
room.
little charm is good, but it's hard when you don't know who it is you're looking for, then it's just all in the dark, and that's what I want to avoid.
So there's so many men that are quiet and are afraid
Yeah.
to approach women nowadays. And a lot of it has to do also with the Me Too movement, and they're worried about making someone feel uncomfortable. They've become extra shy, extra reserved, and extra passive. What would this program do for men like that?
It would help them boost their confidence, I think, and then maybe draw them out. It might draw them out.
So you have workshops for them, like how to talk to interact with women,
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of usually those guys want to do the one-on-one. They don't want to be in a workshop. But yeah.
and they work with you.
Yes.
Okay. So you kind of coach them on how to be on a date or how to approach
We
some
do the strategy. We do strategy.
strategy. Okay.
That's what this
Okay.
whole thing is about, compatibility strategy.
That's great. Okay. For men who are watching this, physical appearance is a big thing for men. Women are looking for safety, for some kind of warmth, especially
Yeah.
initially. Men are looking for physical attraction. What can you tell them? How can they see past and figure out early on whether that person is, say,
Yeah. Yeah. I
a
mean, like,
narcissist?
looks fade and stupid is forever. So be careful about what you wish for, right?
Mm.
We all want to be with people that we find attractive. I completely get that. But at the same time, if someone's got a great personality, that is going to be the staying power. So I would say, get the person that you find the most attractive that has the attributes that you're actually looking for, but make the attributes more important than the physical.
Okay. So I've read a lot of books on dating, how to be on a date, how to attract a mate, both for men and women. I was curious. And a lot of these books are talking about, for women specifically, how to play a role, a damsel, that would attract a masculine man. How to, I mean, boundaries, yes, are important. You have to have boundaries, but it was more about, how to show up a certain way to draw them in.
I would throw that book in the fire. I mean,
That's a few books. That's a few
yeah, but
books
like,
that we're
but why
talking
would we've done enough of this in our lifetime? Why
about.
would we
Uh-huh.
want to do
Uh-huh.
this? Because of one thing I learned, if a man can feed you, he could starve you. Period, the end. So why would you want to show up like this and then be at the mercy of somebody who's going to starve you when it's like show up with your feminine power? I'm not saying become masculine, but your highest, most beautiful feminine self and take up space and show them who you really are, because then you're going to get the guy that's meant for you, or woman, or whatever you're into, that's meant for you, the person that's meant for you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you'll be a beacon for that vibrationally.
Okay.
Because if you're going to do this, you're going to get the one that's going to like need you to be like that in the relation. It's not like you're going to be like that to attract somebody, diminish yourself, and then be like, guess what? Here's me. And they're not going to like that because
Mm-hmm.
you attracted them here, like in a different vibrational state, a weaker state.
So if you already know that's you are in that kind of a relationship, okay, do you also navigate how to maneuver around
Yeah, I mean,
those things?
sometimes these relationships we can fix it, and other times it's like, maybe this isn't for you. This is just not aligned anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it never was.
Mm-hmm.
But people change. The person that I am today, would I be attracted to the person that I married? Probably not, for sure. So yeah, people change and relationships are great teachers, and we're grateful for that, and we move on.
Okay. So before someone embarks on this journey of serious dating with someone, you would suggest they both take those assessments.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see what we create a bridge to understanding.
Okay.
Because
Um,
you're just going to take all that baggage into your next relationship anyway. So you might as well fix the one that you're in. Hopefully, I always hope that we can fix it.
mhm.
Because
That's
if
very
you
helpful.
act like you did at the beginning of the relationship, you wouldn't have problems during the relationship.
Okay. Wow. I'm really curious about this test. And I have dated men that I thought were so boring. And I had overlooked them because they felt so boring.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I've learned that lesson that boring is actually kind of nice and comforting.
Right, but
Um,
it doesn't put us on the roller coaster that our nervous system's used to. It's like a car accident. It's like you stop moving, but the car stops moving, but you keep going. So, we're even if we're out of the childhood home or whatever, our body is like wants that drug of like what it's used to, because
mhm.
that feels like love to us.
Wow, that feels like love to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's
That-
created from our parents, not from who we really are.
What message would you have for parents that
Um,
don't want to pass this on or to they want their
yeah.
healthier
They have to do the self-investigation because it's their generational trauma that's come down on them, right? And they got to heal that. And so they don't put that onto their children.
hmm hmm
So they have to show up differently for their children and show up. The only thing people really want from us is our presence, our attention. And that's all your kids really want from you is for you to be present and attentive and make them feel like they matter, which is the last thing people are right anymore because we're all so distracted.
Yeah, and consistently showing
Yeah.
as consistently as it possible,
Yeah.
so the children feel safe. And that feeling of safety starts feeling like love.
Yeah, the dysfunction starts to feel like love. Like, why would a woman marry, like, date an whose mother was abused and she was abused and now she's dating an abuser? Like, if it's not so ingrained into you that it's running the show, like, who would choose that? You
What
know?
about women? Because I know some women, they've grown up in healthy family dynamics and healthy homes, and they still choose men that are, well, that's just not so nice. What do you think that is?
It's the same thing. It's just not as a parent, I think. It's like, okay, well, my parents, they're still married, but did my dad prioritize me or was he always at work? And then I tried to get his attention and he ignored me, and I
Mm,
felt like I was nothing. So now I'm going to marry someone who makes me feel like nothing so I can keep playing that out because that's what love is to me.
how tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And it's like whatever you got, like this was the parents you got, you deserved better, but this is what you got. So there's a distinction between what you deserved and what you got. That was a big thing for me to be like, wow, I deserved so much better, but this was the best that they could do. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that I didn't deserve better.
Wow. Okay. This is so fascinating. So you've done a lot of couples work in the past. What is the one thing that keeps coming up over and over again in these dynamics in
I
relationship?
mean, it's all disguised in different scenarios,
Mhm.
like about why people don't get along anymore. And everyone goes to therapy to go, this is what they did. It's like they come to fix the other one when it's just like, fix yourself. It's like you have so much more control over that. No one ever goes to therapy to go, fix me. I'm the one.
Uh,
But basically, it's just people just not feeling. There's four, I always say four S's: seen, supported, safe, and sought after. That's what it boils down to in a nutshell. No matter how you put the laundry out in whatever circumstances it comes into, they don't feel those things.
Seen, supported,
Safe and sought after, like important.
for both parties, for both.
Both parties, yeah. If you don't have all four, at least three, you're rocky. Two, you're done. Like it's not going to work.
Mhm.
You really need all four.
Okay. One thing that I heard recently that I thought, well, duh, as soon as like there's a sign of contempt in the relationship, that the relationship is over. Is that true?
I mean, I don't know about a sign,
Is
but
like, can that be healed if someone clearly hates
yeah,
you?
I mean, well, John Gottman, a famous therapist, always talks about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And I know contempt, blame, criticism, contempt, blame, and stonewalling, I think they are. And
Mhm.
those are the things that take relationships down.
But okay, if someone has contempt towards you and you feel it,
Yeah,
like
after a while, it's
overt,
going to cause a divorce. Yeah, for sure. It's going to
okay,
break the relationship. You're going to be in a tolerationship or a situationship. You're not going to be in a relationship. You're not
it's,
relating
but
anymore.
you can't fix that. There's no way to fix
You
it.
can fix that, but you can't fix that by not working on it. Fixable, but after it's gone on a long time, it becomes less fixable. But yes, you can always fix it. If everybody's willing to work on it, you can create healing.
How does age play into compatibility? Would
That's a
you,
great question. I mean, I think it
yeah,
does in terms of maturity, but maybe after like late 40s, maybe it doesn't. Maybe not so much because I mean, there's definitely women who are married to guys 12, 13 years younger and it works, and vice versa. So I think it's really about being open to the vibration and the character and the personality of the person versus the age. So at some level, I say be open to whatever the universe wants to bring you. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, would I date most 40-year-old guys at my age? Probably not. Probably not. But I wouldn't, but you only need one. You don't need all of them. So if there's a special one, great, great. I'll take him. But I don't, it's a lot of searching if you're going to go that route, because you don't have that much as much in common and things like that.
okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and for this
Yeah.
conversation.
Well, thank you so much. This was lovely, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I hope to meet you in person.
I hope so too.
Yes.
And for our viewers, thank you for tuning in and see you next time on Street Smarts MBA. And for those who haven't yet subscribed, please do so and like this video and share it with someone who might benefit from it.